I've had to start reading books to my kids now, man. And so
Okay.
The Cat in the Hat.
It made you laugh.
It made me, I was like, bro, this
Back
dude
to
is
it.
ridiculous, man. Like, he's just coming into your house, doing
Yeah.
all this shit. It's like all these kids are like, man, what is going, it's just like, what gives you the right to come and invade our house and do all this stuff in here? It doesn't make any sense. And the thing about Dr. Seuss is like, I wish I had the mind to do the kind of writing that he does. Like, as I'm reading Dr. Seuss books, like, one red fish, blue fish, one fish,
Sure.
two fish, that kind of, I'm just like, oh, I wish I had the mind to do that. It's just amazing stuff.
Welcome to The Stacks, a podcast about books and the people who read them. I'm your host, Tracy Thomas, and today we are joined by Joel Anderson, a senior staff writer at the sports and pop culture website The Ringer and co-host of their media podcast, The Press Box. Today, Joel and I talk about being a sports journalist, the state of media today, and the many nonfiction books that shaped his life. Joel will be returning on Wednesday, December 31st for the Stacks Book Club conversation around Friday Night Lights, A Town, a Team, and a Dream by H.G. Bissinger. Everything we talk about on each episode of The Stacks can be found in the link in our show notes. If you like this podcast, if you want more bookish content and community, consider joining the Stacks Pack on Patreon at patreon.com/thestacks and subscribing to my newsletter Unstacked at tracythomas.substack.com. Each of these places is going to give you some amazing perks like bonus episodes, community conversations, virtual book club, hot takes, and a lot more. And you get to know that by supporting the work that I do on these platforms, you make it possible for me to make this very podcast, The Stacks, free every single week. To join, go to patreon.com/thestacks for the Stacks Pack and tracythomas.substack.com for my newsletter. All right, now it is time for my conversation with Joel Anderson. All right, y'all, I'm so excited. I'm talking to journalist, sports person, I don't even know, writer, just like extraordinary person that I've been a fan of on the internet for years that I finally convinced to come on this show, the wonderful Joel Anderson. Welcome to The Stacks.
Oh, Tracy, you're much too kind. Thank you. I feel like this is like getting called up or something. I saw Angela Flournoy here.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the big dogs for real. So
I gotta say, I have been very lucky to have some extremely cool, wonderful, smart, brilliant people on the podcast, and I'm going to consider you within that fold because I wouldn't ask you if I thought you were a dum-dum.
Well, I appreciate that. And like attracts like, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
They're not showing up to be talked to stupidly about it. So
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we're going to start sort of where we always start, which is like, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, where are you from? How did you get to be a journalist? Maybe a little bit about your relationship to books.
Yeah, sure. So well, again, I'm from Houston, Texas originally, or a little suburb right outside of it called Missouri City for people that know that area pretty well.
Okay.
And that was an area that I think when my parents moved into that neighborhood, it was like we were like the second black family in there.
Oh.
And then by the time by the end of the 80s, that whole neighborhood was black. You know what I mean?
So there goes the neighborhood situation.
There goes the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We helped turn that over. And so I'm from there, and right now I've been in journalism now almost 25 years. Well, I almost said 20, but it's 25. And the funny thing is, I've always kind of known that this is what I was going to do. Like the long and short of it is that I grew up wanting to be a football player.
Right.
I was really good at sports through high school. Went to college. Tried to play football at TCU. And I just realized, oh man, this is not exactly what I need to be doing or want to be doing. And not long after that, like I went, I took about a week to grieve.
your Heisman and your
I was
Super
just
Bowl
like,
trophy.
I'm not going to play in the league. I can't believe it, And then I presented myself over to the campus newspaper, and they were like, oh, can you cover the football team? And which is not a thing that usually happens at college newspapers, because the football team is probably the most desired beat at any campus newspaper. But because they thought, I'll be able to have sources or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's not how I went about it. But that's that.
Oh, so
that
you didn't
was my
go
first
in
step.
for the hot goss angle. You weren't
No.
like, oh, hey, Bob. So I know you've been like, how's that ankle?
Yeah, no.
Remember?
No. And because if anything, it was sort of humiliating to me to like
to
go
go
back
back.
over there. And because they're like, oh, you quit,
Right.
So why are you back over here?
What year? How many years did you play?
2.
Okay.
And then it was going into the spring of my junior year. And I was just like, we had a coaching change. They wanted me to change positions. I was like, I just don't want to do that. And I actually don't want to do this anymore. It just wasn't the same. Right. And so, yeah, so that was, and so then right after that, I started working at the school newspaper. And, you know, I worked at the school newspaper long enough that my final semester, I was the editor in chief.
Okay.
And but I mean, again, Tracy, I knew that even from the time I was like 5 years old, I liked writing. I had done stuff like that. I was a prolific reader as a kid. You know, with them Pizza Hut things, I killed that. Like I had so many personal pan pizzas. So, and I read the newspaper every day when I was a kid. Like I would read the sports section and the funnies, or I guess they call them the funnies.
Yeah.
So anyway, so all of that stuff. So that's kind of how it all came to be for me. And so the thing I always say is that if I couldn't play in a Super Bowl, I wanted to cover a Super Bowl. Right.
When did you cover your first Super Bowl?
Well, so that's the funny thing. I hadn't done that either. But I have covered the college.
You never done it? You never covered the Super Bowl?
I've never been to a Super Bowl.
Me neither. That's one of the few sporting events I've never been to.
Really? Okay, do you really want to go?
So, yes and no. Okay. I'm a 49ers fan.
Oh.
And my brother went to 2 of the last 3 49ers Super Bowls that we lost, obviously.
Oh, man.
And his sorrow was so upsetting to me from my home that I don't know that I want to feel that publicly.
Yes.
However, I would like to go to a Super Bowl because I've been to the World Series, I've been to NBA finals, many NBA finals games, and I've been to the Euro Cup in Germany. Like I've done a lot of sports things, and I feel like I got a notch. That's like a notch I gotta have. You know what I mean?
You got to complete the circle. There you go.
I got to do it. Like I want to go to Wimbledon really bad. Like there's just a lot
of. You done the U.S. Open then, haven't you?
I've never done the U.S. Open. Can you believe that?
Shocking.
I got into tennis right before I left New York, and it just never felt like, I need to go to New York for that. But in 2026, I think I'm going to go to Indian Wells because it's right here in Palm Springs, and I've never done it, and apparently it's amazing.
Okay. Yeah.
But I am always like, tickets to a sporting event? Let's go. Like this year, we're going to go to the World Series or the World Classic of baseball or whatever.
Oh, that's going to be
in
so
Miami cool. Just to go.
There you go. Yeah, why not? I mean, just because I feel like international competitions are the best.
Yeah.
And I've never and that's just from TV. Like I don't even know. Yeah, they look so fun, and the crowds are just really, the people that do this stuff, they are so into the sport, right?
Yeah.
Like they are really there to get into that and support their team. And it's just such a celebratory atmosphere. I can't see how it wouldn't be great. So yeah, I have that kind of dream too. Like I don't think I would want to do the World Cup here domestically, you know? Yeah. But like if they ever hold the World Cup somewhere else cool again, you know, I would like to be in on that, you know.
I want to go to the World Cup here because it's just going to be here. And LA, I think, is going to be the home base for the U.S. team. I think they have 2 games here. So I'm like, if I can get a ticket and group play, like I'd love to go.
That makes sense.
But after going to the Euro Cup in Germany and that being like that was hands down the best sporting experience of my life. It was the opening game. It was like at the Allianz Stadium in Munich. It was versus Scotland. I became a diehard Scotland fan. Now I watch all their like international games. It was unreal, like unlike anything I'd ever experienced in my life. Like I was crying. I was so moved by the whole thing.
Oh, wow. I mean, what is it? Just the intensity?
The intensity, like the excitement, just the vibes are so good. Like it's just like inexplicable good vibes.
Yeah.
We don't have that in the States with like sports because we don't do like national sports in the same way, you know, like there are people who are just like a fan of LeBron James and like, no, like you can't just be a Lakers fan and then just be a Heat fan and then be a Cavs fan, or that's the opposite order, but you know,
you don't carry the same. Well, okay. Well, hold on then. Are you a college football fan?
Okay. No.
Okay, see, there you go.
I think college football is the closest thing.
You would get that, I think, if you were into college football.
When I went to college, I went to NYU, so not going to happen. Okay. But I had a lot of friends who went and played at Cal.
Oh, okay.
So I was a Cal fan when I was in college, and I like went to some bowl games, and that was fun. But Cal wasn't. It was like when Cal was number one for like 30 minutes, and then they would lose. You know, like they'd have like the late game.
Yeah,
and
was
like,
Aaron Rodgers the quarterback that year?
It was in that time frame, but it would be like I'd lived in New York, and it would be the late game was about to start, and LSU would have lost, and like Cal is number one, and then they immediately lose, and then it's like, okay, Cal's 15. But they were better than they are now. What is the best sporting event you've ever covered?
Oklahoma versus Georgia in the Rose Bowl in 2018. So Baker Mayfield had won the Heisman.
Sure.
And he played against the Georgia team that went on to lose in the final to Alabama.
Oh, was that like the New Year's Eve game that went on forever and ever?
Well, it ended, I don't know if that's the one, but they lost. I'll tell you how they lost. They lost in overtime.
Yeah.
And they lost on a last second, second and 26 completion from Tua to Devontae Smith. Okay. And I was in the press box for that game.
Okay.
And so I'm just like, I just remember it just kind of came out of nowhere because Tua had just taken a terrible sack on first down. And we were like, oh, hell, they're about to lose. And then he just throws it. He hits Devontae Smith in stride, running into the end zone. And it was like we screamed. Like it was just so shocking that the game had ended like that. And it was just such a dramatic game. So, and Atlanta's one of my favorite cities in the country. So it just everything that I wanted was right there. It was a lot of fun. So that probably was my favorite one. I guess.
So basically the reason you're here is that I just wanted someone to talk sports with, and I never get to do that.
Yeah, well, good. Yeah.
That's not true. You know. We have other things to talk about, but I do want to ask you this. When you're covering sports, obviously sometimes you're covering some like real stinkers and boring games or whatever, but when you're covering like a good game, are you into it, or are you sitting there being like, I gotta file soon, like I hope this game ends, it's getting late? Like, what's the actual vibe for you as a professional sports journalist?
Once you start, if you're at a game and you have to cover it, that's the best way to not enjoy it. Because you're totally, for me at least, and part of this is like an anxiety thing, like I've got a deadline, right? And so I'm like, all right, I gotta make sure that my story's lined up. I don't want to keep my editor waiting too long. As I'm watching the game, I'm not really watching it for the beauty and the contest. I'm looking for storylines. Right. So I'm like, all right, should I write about this person? Should I write about this? And so I'm constantly trying to figure out things instead of actually getting to enjoy the experience. Like, well, I'll enjoy the days around a game, especially if it's a big one.
Yeah.
I like the experience of walking into the stadium, right? And just kind of feeling the buzz of energy from the fans. You know, you go through the media will call line and they're all in the concourse hanging out. But like once the game starts, it's not a lot of fun for me, to be honest. But I mean, you know, like there is some excitement. There is some thrill in writing on deadline. Like that, it just taps into something that I did a lot more earlier in my career. Like that was, as a rule, kind of the way that I was covering sports. And now I kind of do it. You know, I just come in to do, you know, the fun game or the big game. But even then, it's just not the same as sitting at home and watching it and eating my own food, you know?
Right. Do you, now, you get to pick what you write about, or do you still get assigned things?
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because it's probably 80% me, 20% assignment.
Okay.
It feels tough to say this in a time when so many journalists are struggling and the business is hemorrhaging, like just jobs, you know, all good journalists, all that stuff. But like, I have a great job, right? And so I really have things where it's like, okay, I want to do this. Like, I'm just, you know, I want to do this. This is something I've been thinking about. And if I can sell it, and for the most part, it's not hard to sell, they want me to write, then I can do it. And then every now and again, they're like, hey, do you want to write this? An example, and I was kind of prepared for it, is when Malcolm Jamal Warner passed.
Sure.
Right. And I was like, I actually have something to say about this. I want to write about this. And and as I was saying that, they were asking me, hey, can you write up something about that?
Yeah.
So boom. But yeah, for the most part, I have a lot of latitude. And I'm talking with my editors all the time about like what I see down the line, what I think I might want to write about, and what would be a good fit. So yeah.
As you're sort of in the same way that like as you're watching a game, if you're covering a game, you're thinking about story. And I always love that, like when I'm watching sports and the commentators are like, oh, this is going to change the narrative. And I'm sitting there thinking like all the people in the sports in the press box are getting so annoyed that like, you know, I'm thinking about the World Series, the 18 inning game. I was just thinking about all of those journalists. Like they're so mad right now. Like when Clayton Kershaw walked out, bases loaded, I was like, they're going to have this great story. He's going to give up the game. This is his legacy. It's going to be amazing. And then he gets the out. And I'm like, this is a different story all of a sudden. But in the same way that you feel that like in moment to moment, are you thinking about the year in sports, or like, are you thinking about like bigger picture things? Are you trying to connect bigger picture things to write pieces that maybe say more about what's going on in sports or politics? Because you also write about culture and politics and sort of media broadly. So how do you come up with these ideas?
That's a good question. I mean, it really, the thing is I'm always just kind of writing I'm doing a little bit of everything in every bucket if I can help it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but the thing is, if I'm going to be covering an event, I'm probably not going to have that much latitude, right? Just because, unless I've like done a lot of prep work and I can kind of say within a reasonable amount of certitude what's going to happen, I kind of just got to write what I see, right? Or like whatever is accessible to me. But for the most part, and especially at the Ringer, we're like a day after team. So we do the day after story. Yeah. And so that necessarily requires you to sort of think ahead a little bit about what might be interesting. What would people who are not following this so closely that they already know what the score is, right? Like what would they take away from this? Like what would be the thing that would really sum up this event in the context of whatever is going on in the sport, in the world, regionally, whatever, right? And so that's what I'm always trying to think about. Like early in my life, I'm trying to remember who it was. It was a friend, maybe it was a girlfriend. I don't know. Anyway, it may have been that, but she was like, she wasn't a sports fan, but she was like, I like the idea that you write about sports in a way that is accessible to me. I was trying to think about, I want to write stories for people that don't necessarily follow sports. Like it should be as accessible to you is in entertaining to that person as it is the person that already cares. That's sort of my goal.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I want to ask you, so you host a podcast called The Press Box on The Ringer. You co-host it. And it's a really interesting show because you guys are talking about sports and politics and pop culture, but you're talking about how it's covered by the media. So like the sort of entry point into it is like two journalists talking about the journalism angle of these stories, more or less. Is that how you pitch it? Is that how you
that's about right. That's about right.
Okay, that's the best I could do.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. But my question for you then, as a person who covers the media, essentially, what do you make of this moment in the media? Like, what the fuck is going on? Should we be as worried as I think some of us are, or are we overreacting? Are we underreacting? No. Like, what's your take on media?
We're underreacting. I feel really scared about the future of the industry and like where it's going to go. I mean, just from the loss of local outlets, for instance. Yeah. Man, when a quarter century ago, when I'm coming out of college, it would be the most likely path that you took to in your careers that you'd start at like the Corpus Christi Caller Times or, the Flagstaff, Union or whatever. And you did that local newspaper or that local TV or radio station, and then you would kind of work your way up. You do regional work, then you may get to the national level or whatever. And like that whole level of media is kind of like hemorrhaging and dying off. Yeah. And so whenever I even talk to kids, like I talk to, they'll send me to, college classes to talk. And I feel bad because I'm like, what worked for me doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the path for you. But yeah, I mean, I think people should be concerned. And I think on both sides, because I think that like, I would like it if citizens felt invested in the future of their media, right? Mm-hmm. If they trusted us enough and believed in us enough to want to pay for our work and want us to hold people accountable. But the flip side of that is that media hasn't done a great job of maintaining that trust, re-earning that trust. And also just like in terms of like just bad business practices, like just giving the work away early on. And like people got used to seeing stuff on the internet. And now you want to charge them. And it's like, well, I'm not going to do that. I've gotten used to getting my information for free. So there's just been so many things that have gone wrong along the way. And then sort of the consolidation of media, the radicalization, the politicization of what is objectively supposed to be, objective journalism or fair journalism or whatever, like, you know, the right-wing influencers that have come in and started buying up these properties. Like, I mean, I think the Baltimore Sun is owned, oh my God, is it owned by one of the guys that owns the Sinclair TV groups or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's something like that. But anyway, but it's just like that kind of stuff doesn't help because they're not really, and I don't mean to criticize this person too much because I don't know enough to speak about it intelligently, but at a top-down level, it's just like most people have not cared enough to maintain these properties and to, you know, reinforce them, give them more resources, give them more people. The only way it seems that most people feel when they take over a newspaper, and I care about newspapers because that's what I came up in, they're like, oh, we got to cut it. Like, we just got to do more with less. Right. And I just don't, I mean, my parents used to be newspaper consumers, and they would always complain, like, man, the papers are terrible now. They're just so skinny. There's nothing in there.
Yeah.
Why would I pay for that? And so it's like, it's on both ends. It's like we need the public to care, but also like we need to make the public care. And that's the two things are just not aligning right now.
As a journalist, do you feel like your relationship to your readers or to the audience has changed because there's less trust of the media in the last 10 years? Can you sense that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because whereas before, well, so there's two things that have really changed. One, I've only worked at national outlets. So like since 2015, I've worked at BuzzFeed. Like 2015, I'm at BuzzFeed. Then I go to ESPN. Then I go to Slate. Then I come to The Ringer. And I think one of the things that has happened is that people like get more familiar with writers now. Mm-hmm. Like they follow, kind of you would talk about in like basketball, how people follow LeBron or whatever. And in no means am I comparing myself to an NBA player or LeBron.
On this podcast,
absurd.
Writers are celebrities, so I feel like you are the LeBron of sports journalism, and I think you can own that.
But I appreciate you saying it, but I refuse to accept that. But it's that point. There are people that follow me from place to place, right? Like some of that is through social media. Like they follow up my tweets, or they'll see my work on Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever, and they just started following me. And like every now and again, every few days, weeks, a reader will write in and say, hey, I've been following your work since you were at ESPN, or I came across you on Bomani Jones's show and I'm a fan. And it's just like, oh, like that's crazy. And I did not get into journalism to be a person who anybody recognized.
Right.
Like my hope was that my work would be the bigger thing, that like my byline would just, there were a few writers in journalism that I followed, but like that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want people to know who I was. I didn't want people to know anything about my life.
Interesting. Okay.
But that's just not how it is now.
Not
like
anymore.
if you're going to succeed at this business, you kind of got to be able to prove to your bosses, your editors, managers that like people follow you and they follow your work and they care about you when you say things. And that's kind of the way that you have to distinguish yourself now. It's just that's not how I came into this business. That's not what I came in here intending to do. But it's just like in some ways what you're sort of required to do if you want to make a career out of this.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I definitely follow writers.
Yeah.
Like journalists a lot, for sure. I mean, I was going to ask you, we're sort of running out of time on this portion of the episode, but one of the things that I love of your work is the Slow Burn podcast. You hosted, I have in addition to having an obsession with sports, I also have a slight obsession with the LA riots. And you hosted that season along with the Tupac Biggie season and one other season.
Clarence Thomas
season, of course.
You're right.
Did they tell you what to do? Do you pitch your ideas? How did that come about? I mean, you obviously got the best seasons. No offense, Bill Clinton. And,
I appreciate you saying
Nixon or whatever.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. Those were great seasons. So the way it happened is I was at ESPN, and I just then started getting into podcasts, just listening to them.
Okay.
And
what year is this?
This is 2019.
Oh, okay. You're a late adopter on podcasts.
I'm a very late adopter. The only podcast I listened to prior to like 2019 was the Dan Le Batard show. I listen to it every day.
I listen to the Tony Kornheiser show every day. 2 hours a day since 2010.
Oh man, I started listening to Dan Le Batard in 2010, right?
Yeah.
And it was like 3 hours a day.
Yeah,
and I'm just
insane.
And that's what you're saying. That doesn't give you time to listen to anything else for the most part, right?
Yeah, I listened to it. I lived in New York at the time, so I listened to it on my commute. Okay. Just like everywhere I went, I listened to it every day.
New York is so great for that. That is one thing I miss about New York, just being on the train and like being able to catch up on all your podcasts. So Slate calls me and they're like, hey, we're doing a season on Tupac and Biggie. Would you be interested in doing it? And it's just like, hell yeah. Like, that sounds amazing. Like, I mean, I wasn't even thinking that my career was going to go in that direction. Like, I just started listening to podcasts. I listened to two. There are two that really changed things for me. ESPN 30 for 30 did an episode on Ricky Henderson's last year in professional baseball, playing. He's 46 years old, playing for a team in San Diego.
Okay.
And then there was Becoming Obama that came out of WBEZ.
Yes.
And I listened to those and I was just captivated. I was like, oh, what a fun, fascinating way to do this work.
That Becoming one, did they do Becoming Oprah also?
They did Oprah too.
Okay, that's the one I remember. I don't remember Becoming Obama. I remember Becoming Oprah.
I can't remember which one came first. Oprah might have been the first one. I'm not sure. Remember. But it was, I mean, they were both
great.
They were fantastic and just totally changed the way that I thought about telling stories. And so when they called me about the Biggie and Tupac one, I was like, great. Now, I would not have probably chosen Biggie and Tupac off the top. Like, I mean, that is my era of hip hop. I love both of those guys.
Yeah.
But I knew going in what the challenges were going to be. Right. Like, so many people have fed at that trough. So many people try to tell that story. People don't want to talk to you. I'm not no hip hop journalist. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I love hip hop and I came up in the culture, but like, that's just not what I've done. So the next year, 2020, I'd always wanted to do the LA riots. Trace, let me tell you, I went and saw a documentary and it ended up winning the Oscar on Latasha Harlins.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good.
So they first previewed it, or they were running it when Pop-Up Magazine was going. And so I saw it at the Pop-Up Magazine and I'm sitting in the audience like, oh shit, this is great. I want to do something about this. Like, I'm just in there just like, okay, I got to do it. And so I pitched it to Slate. They said no a few times.
Rude.
And then I got a job offer for somebody else. And the way they got me to stay was that they let me do the LA riots.
Great. We love leverage.
Yeah, love leverage. And so, yeah, man. And so then I did it. And it probably is, I would say in my life, if you ask me the most important work I've ever done, it probably was that. That's the thing that I most wanted to do, the thing I was most interested in. And I got to talk to a bunch of just great, fascinating people.
Right.
And yeah, like I also had just wanted to tell the story of Rodney King. Like Rodney King had just sort of been a punchline to me my whole life.
Same.
Like nobody had ever thought about like him as a human being, as like a person.
Yeah.
And so that was like one of my goals for that season, was to like humanize him and say, hey man, no, this guy went through something. I know that like you showed up and we made jokes about him getting his ass beat by the cops, but also like the struggles he had in the years after. And like, I just wanted to do something different. And so, yeah, man, that's how I got into it. I pitched that one. And then I pitched Clarence Thomas and they said no. And it took a while. It took a while for me to get the green light on that, but thankfully they did. And it worked out. This will be a time I toot my horn. It ended up winning Podcast of the Year, the Podcast Academy.
The Clarence Thomas one did?
Yeah, the Clarence Thomas one did. Yeah.
Right. They're so good. They're all so good. I just have like a deep obsession with the LA riots. And so for me, like that was so good because I also feel like a book came out last year, like a young adult book it's called Rising from the Ashes. And I obviously had that author on the podcast like the moment it came out.
Yes.
But there is not really like a comprehensive book for adults on the riots. And I can't believe it because I'm like, these people are mostly still alive for a little bit longer. Like we're going to start losing more and more of the people who were there, right? Like Daryl Gates is gone. Not that like we want him, but like he's a key figure. Like
Tom Bradley, right, I would have loved to talk to him.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, we gotta get this like definitive book done because it just feels like, we're coming up on 40 years in what? 32.
Oh
32 will be 40 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, we got to do it. I guess next year's 35 or 2 years, 35. But anyways, I love that season. And I'd read it. I mean, there's the Latasha Harlins book. Like there's books about each of them, but there's not like the book,
So I have, and so there was a book that came out in the 90s and a guy from the Washington Post wrote it. And it was sort of a comprehensive book, but it was very dense.
And it was too soon to the time.
Yeah, it needs some time to cook. There's some time for people to come back to it. And I would, there was a time when people were talking to me about trying to do something with it, and I was just ready. Man, I spent a whole year.
Yeah.
When you do the crazy thing about those podcasts is that people have told me that the thing that it's most like is like writing a book.
Yeah, I believe it.
And so like I spent a year on that, and I was ready to. I didn't want to do no more. I was like, I think I've cleared it up here. But yeah, man, to your point, you're absolutely right. Because for instance, our season of the podcast starts off with the video, the guy videoing it, George Holiday, the guy.
And he died a year or two
ago. He died
right?
months after we interviewed him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like just a few months. He was like in his 60s.
Yeah.
And so it's like that kind of stuff happens all the time. So no, you're right. Like if it's going to happen, it's going to have to happen here in the next 5 years. Yeah. Because just think about how old the Watts ride seemed when we were kids.
Right. I mean, I didn't even really know about them.
Yep.
They seemed too old, you know?
Yeah. Right.
But
right.
I think we're similarly aged. Like I remember the vibes in the house when the LA riots were happening. Like I remember, I've got a black dad and a white mom. I remember what, like it was tense is all I'll say, and like, it was such a formative thing in my life that I just never could let it go. So anytime anyone does something, I'm like, I got to read it. I got to watch it. I got to hear it. Like, I just love it.
Did you remember the Different World episode? I think it was the season premiere. So it was like, I didn't
watch Different Worlds. How old are you?
Tracy.
I'm sorry.
I'm an old man. I'm 47.
Okay, well, I'll be 40 next year. So I might have been a little bit too young.
You were a little young.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have an older brother though, so I feel like I got a lot of like elder millennial stuff that trickled from him, but I missed a lot of things too.
I don't know how much it would resonate, but as a moment in time, like, it was like, oh man, they're talking about the LA riots on a different world. It was just for the people, Dwayne and Whitley, they went on a honeymoon in LA, and they're in LA when the riots break out. Oh. And they get split up from each other. And the funny thing is that a couple of the looters that show up in this episode are Roseanne Barr and Tom Arnold. And they're like, it was supposed to, like, hey, white people were out there looting too. That was supposed to be in the story. It's just funny to think that Roseanne was on that side of it at that time, once upon a time. But anyway, things change.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back. Valentine's Day is upon us and I've got love on the brain. Love for books. Duh, of course. Hello. Did you forget what podcast you're listening to? I love bringing you all great reads, exclusive author interviews, and behind the scenes book gossip. But I can only do that with your support over on Patreon and Substack. Our Stacks Patreon community, also known as the Stacks Pack, is where you can go for book club meetups, a private, very active Discord, and a year-long mega reading challenge to help you achieve all your reading goals. Plus, you also get that monthly bonus episode. Now, over on the Substack, you can subscribe to my newsletter, Unstacked, where I keep the book conversations going. I also give you a healthy dose of sports and pop culture, definitely some hot takes happening over there. And again, that bonus episode. If you don't have a few dollars to spare, don't worry. There are free options on the Substack and the Patreon to get you a little extra Stacks magic. Making this podcast is a total team effort, and by supporting my Patreon and my Substack, you allow me to support my amazing team that makes the show possible every single week. So if you or your friends are looking to meet other book lovers and support this indie podcast, come hang out with me on Patreon, Substack, or both. I would love to have you. And since we're talking about love, you can gift subscriptions to the Patreon and the Substack for that special reader in your life. For the Stacks Pack, head to patreon.com/thestacks. And for the newsletter, head to tracythomas.substack.com. And also, there are links to both in the show notes. Okay, see you in the Stacks. All right, I did not prepare you for this. This is the one surprise thing that I make all of my guests do. It's called Ask the Stacks. Someone has written in, they're looking for a book recommendation. Lucky for you, I do think that this particular recommendation is tailored extremely well. It came in last week and I had just booked you and I was like, oh, I got to give this one to Joel. So, okay, this comes from Marley, and Marley says, I got my dad Charlie Hustle for Christmas last year. That's the book about Pete Rose.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a huge hit. So I wanted to turn back to the dad book expert. He is a big Philly sports guy and loved the Pete Rose deep dive. He is a self-described nerd and has been a reader throughout my life, but hasn't read a lot in recent years. He can also be quite picky. The book really gripped him, and he finished it in a few days over his winter break, and I felt like I won Christmas. Another nonfiction book feels more likely to be a winner than something fiction. In addition to sports, he also loves music, and he likes going down history rabbit holes, dad stuff. He can get through a denser text, but he won't tolerate pretension. A Philly-based book would be the cherry on top. Any guidance would be much appreciated. So we need to give the dad at least one book recommendation. If you want to think for a second, I have come up with a few.
Okay.
But I don't feel super strong about this, Marla. I got to be honest. So
how tight are they to Philly? Are they pretty?
I have one sort of Philly recommendation.
Okay.
I don't know a ton about Philly. So, well, first and foremost, one of my all-time sports book recommendations is The Sixth Man, which is Andre Iguodala's memoir. I think it's fantastic, and he did play in Philadelphia. So that's a small pseudo rec. But there is a new book that I have not read called Misunderstood, and it's Allen Iverson's memoir. So if your dad is into basketball, that might also be a Philly moment. The book that I actually think he might like that I just read is called The Man Nobody Killed, and it's about Michael Stewart, who was murdered by the New York City transit police in 1983, I believe.
Oh man.
It's sort of the first and only definitive book on this murder that ends up becoming sort of this precursor to a lot of police murders. And I think for a lot of people, they've maybe seen Michael Stewart's name in the last 5 years on signs or whatever, but I don't think he's gotten quite the due diligence of other people. And so this book I thought was really good. And if your dad sort of likes history, and it's told sort of in a similar way to the Charlie Hustle story. And then the other one is, it's not out till March. So this might be a pre-order for your dad's birthday, but it's called Heartland, and it's by Keith O'Brien, who wrote the Charlie Hustle book, and it's about Larry Bird. So it's a similar framing sports story, but it's about Larry Bird. And I think similarly, I don't think he's really gotten a book treatment yet.
Man, that's a good point. I'm trying to think if I've ever heard or read of a Larry Bird book. I think
there's books about him and Magic, or the Celtics and the Lakers, but not Larry Bird, Indiana.
I know I read a Larry Bird book as a kid, and I can't remember if it was an autobiography.
Okay.
My mom got me a bunch of sports autobiographies to keep me interested. And so I know I read something about Larry Bird, but yeah. But that sounds like the exact right place they need to go.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything that you can think of that might be a good fit?
Absolutely. So I'm actually going to recommend two books from the same author, Mark Kriegel. Okay. And they said Charlie Hustle. So then all of a sudden I started to build the image of the kind of person this is. Okay. So I may not be fair. I may get this wrong.
I love it.
All right. I assume this is a middle-aged white guy, maybe older.
Yeah.
Remembers a certain time in sports and the connection to sort of Vietnam era guys, things like that. Before when sports was still a big deal, but not the billion-dollar enterprise of today. So Mark Kriegel is the writer, and there's biographies about Joe Namath. It's called Namath.
Oh, yeah.
And the other one is Pistol Pete, and it's about Pistol Pete Maravich.
Okay.
And I mean, in a lot of ways, what you're reading when you read those two books is about the founding days of the NFL for Joe Namath and the founding days of the NBA with Pete Maravich, and how these white superstars helped to grow the game in the country, and they were the face of the sport for a very long time. And it's just Mark Kriegel does a fantastic job with this stuff. He just actually did a biography on Mike Tyson that is also really good.
I saw. Did you read it? It was good.
I have it. I started it, but I'm way behind.
Me too. Don't worry. No, there's no shame here.
Okay,
I
have a lot of book. I have a lot of book shame. So I was looking at my stacks today. But anyway, those two books. I mean, I always go back to them because I just learned so much. If you've never really studied or read up on the origins of the NBA, or even just Pete Maravich and what he went through. I did not know that his father was a great college basketball coach, and that he had played for his father at LSU and all this stuff, and he had to bounce around the ABA and the NBA. It just it's just fantastic. And the same thing with Joe Namath, which is he's kind of become a punchline as I've gotten older because, you know, he had the very public like misstep with alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember Susie Kober.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he also, you know, it's just, I mean, I don't know, people throw up his stats from 1973 and like Joe Namath sucked.
Yeah.
But that is not the story of Joe Namath. Like you really got to read up on him. So anyway, those two books, I think your father will be very, very happy.
Those are great recommendations. I just thought of another book that I'm just going to throw out, which is Ladies and Gentlemen, The Bronx is Burning, which is about the Yankees and New York City in the 70s. I've never read it, but I just read that guy's new book, which is called The Gods of New York. And it's about the 1980s in New York. And it's so good. It's not the best book I've read this year, but I think it's one of my favorite books I've read this year.
Ooh,
and so I want to go back and read Ladies and Gentlemen, The Bronx is Burning, but it sounds like your dad would probably like it. It's 1970s baseball, which is in that same era.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're trying to... I just get, when you said Charlie Hustle, I just got like an image of like an old, shitty public stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
Concrete bowl. And
that's exactly
a city
right.
with, stacks, those smokestacks all around them. So
that's exactly
that sounds fun. Yeah.
Marley, if you get any of these, if your dad reads them, please report back to us. And folks who want recommendations read on the air, you can email askthestacks@thestackspodcast.com. Okay, Joel, you are now officially in the hot seat. 2 books you love, 1 book you hate.
Oh my God. 2 books I love, 1 book I hate. The Warmth of Other Suns.
All-timer.
Favorite book. I'm not going to pick the one that we're going to talk about. So, Black Boy, Richard Wright.
Okay. And the one that we're going to talk about, so people know, in case you missed the announcement, is that we're talking about Friday Night Lights, which I have never read and is one of your all-timers.
It's top 3. Those are my 3 of my top 5.
And without giving anything away, without saying too much, because we're going to spend a whole hour on Friday Night Lights, can you just say why you wanted to pick it? Like what is it about that book that makes you think that people should read it and would like it?
First of all, I think that because, and I should say this off top, never seen the TV show.
Oh.
I saw the movie and I did not like it.
I didn't see the movie. I love the TV show and I just started the book last week. So I'm very excited.
You're on it? Okay, yeah. So if you read the book, it has nothing to do with any of those things, right? Like the movie is sort of close to what you get in the book, in the book, but it's a totally different thing because it's not just really about football. It's sort of about like Reagan's America and the oil bust in Texas. Like, so it's a part of the country that is sort of having to redefine itself amid like all this economic and cultural and social turmoil.
Right.
And the one thing that they've got in Odessa, Texas is football, right? And it's high school football. And you just think about like, how much, anyway, I don't want to go too far because I was starting to wind up. But anyway.
Don't go too far. I just wanted you to tell people why, because I'm super excited as a sports person. But what I can say so far, I'm on chapter 2, is that even if you don't give a flying fuck about sports or high school football, I can see how this book has been so formative for so many of the journalists that I love. Because it came out in like 1980. It's covering 1988 football season. And just like the way that sort of investigative journalism where you're tying culture and sports and it's like, oh, I see what's happened here. This book is like a text that other texts are born out of. Okay, what's your book you hate?
All right. It's tough because, I'm not a person that can really sit through a book that I don't like. Okay. But I did have to read Daryl Gates's memoir, Chief by Daryl Gates.
Oh, and you hated it. You had to read it for...
I had to read it for slow burn and to get familiar. And I was like, okay, this is what it would be like to read like a Rush Limbaugh text.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or Bill O'Reilly or something like that. I was like, okay. He's like you can see he's sort of like the forefather to their style, basically.
Right. He was them. He was like, they're God. What kind of reader are you?
I'm always reading something.
Okay.
So I do need to give myself credit for that. But the reason I'm reading is usually before work. Okay. All right. I don't want to give it away right now, but I'm working on something that is going to come out probably in a few weeks, unfortunately. And I'm reading a biography on this person right now, right? And so that's usually how I come across a book, and I'll just get what is the best book on this person, on this city, on this thing, and I will dig in. And so like that's usually what I have going when I'm reading. I very rarely get to read for pleasure anymore.
But if you do, what would you read?
Ooh, if I got to read for pleasure?
Yeah, like if it's like Joel's going on vacation, what I want to read most in the world is this kind of book.
Man,
or this book.
People tell me that reading books about like places. So hear about this one. There's one, God Save Texas by Lawrence Wright, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
The writer of Texas Monthly. Like, I've not read that book. I've had that book. I've moved it from place to place. Okay. And eventually I'm going to read it. But yeah, like I love to read and learn about why places become the places that they are. Another like Boomtown. I don't know if people have read that. Like reading that kind of stuff is just totally, opens my whole mind up because I tell this to people. I did not go on vacations as a kid.
Okay.
Like my parents didn't take us nowhere. So when we left out of town, we just went to visit family in Arkansas. So I have like an insane curiosity about every part of this country. And so like
Besides Arkansas.
And I still haven't read the great book on Arkansas yet. So I'm in the market for that.
Okay.
But so that's kind of like what I would like to read about places if I could.
I love that. What is the last really great book you've read?
Oh man. That's a good question. City of Quartz by Mike Davis.
Oh, okay. Is that the city book you were saying before that you couldn't think of, or a different one?
It was a different one.
Oh, okay.
But this one helped me with Slow Burn to LA season. And I finally got around to finishing it up. Like I just kind of skimmed it and I was like, I want to finish. Mike Davis died, I think last year. Yeah, a couple years ago. And I was like, I owe it to him to finish this book. Because he's so it's just everything. That book is everything.
I need to read it. I for some reason, I just am not. I've never been that curious about LA as a city, but I know that I would once I open that door. Maybe that I'm going to put that on my top of my list for next year to make sure I get to it.
It's just I find because I'm not from there or whatever.
Yeah,
I find LA to be just the most fascinating place in the world. Like,
I feel that way about New York. Like I'll read any book about like recent New York history, anything about New York from like 1960 forward. Okay. I'm obsessed with.
Oh man, I had to tell you about my idea for a book then one day. Then
okay, we can do it off air.
We'll do it off air. Yeah. I'm not gonna tell you on
there. Okay, what's like a book? What's your go-to recommendation?
Friday Night Lights, obviously. I recommend Ralph Wiley. What black people should do now? Dispatches from the End of Van. So Ralph Wiley is the most influential writer in my life. Like he's the reason why I want to do what I want to do. And so if I ever get to that point with that person, I'm just like, read this. Like this is just it's basically a collection of essays. And I've not met anybody that thinks like that or write like that anymore in life. And so that is one of the books. Another one is called The New Thing by Michael Lewis. And yeah, and it's actually about sort of the foundation of Silicon Valley and like the people that were that founded it and built that industry up in the Bay. And I learned so much. Like I'm not really of that world. And when I moved there, I was like, I want to get my hands around like how all this happened. And I think it's just good for understanding like how the economy has been shaped and the people that shaped it. Probably those two.
Do you have any, like, or how do you like to read? Snacks and beverages? What's the temperature? Where are you? What's like your ideal reading situation?
So let me explain that I cannot do it now because I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And so what I'm usually doing is I'm listening to an audiobook in bed or I'm reading my Kindle in the dark, as my kids are sleeping, right?
Yeah.
But the way that I used to like to do it is that, it's kind of that. Like I would just get in bed, maybe a little early or on the weekend. And maybe I have a little snack or, something.
What kind of snack?
Oh, man. Well, apple chips. I love apple chips. Oh, is that bad? Okay.
Not a healthy snack.
Well, I mean, it ain't that healthy. It's got
I know. A lot of people like healthy snacks, and I just have to get over that I'm the only person who still eats like your 3-year-old.
Oh, no, trust me. I eat terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm, I'm hiding snacks in this office right now.
Good.
It's legal now. I like a little gummy, what I'm saying? Get myself feeling right, a little something to drink. And and I'll just sit down in on a nice comfy couch and curl up next to the light with maybe it's a little cloudy outside or whatever. And like, that's my vibe. Like that's that if I could get back to that at any point in my life, I'll look forward to that.
I love that. Do you have a favorite bookstore?
Man, so my favorite bookstores don't exist anymore.
Ugh.
They close. And, you know, I've moved, so
Yeah.
it's things change. But when I was in Palo Alto, Kepler's, which was
Sure.
down the street from Stanford,
Kepler's
independent
isn't
bookstore.
close though, is it?
No, Kepler's is open. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I was
should
going to
that.
say.
No, 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 no.
I was
no.
like, I think Kepler's is still there.
Oh yeah, Kepler's is still there. But my two favorite bookstores were in Houston, and people from Houston at least will know this. It used to be the Book Stop, and it was in a book stop on Shepherd in the Montrose area, and it used to be in like an old movie theater. And so like you would descend down and walk down, and there were books on either side, and
Cool.
I loved it. And then there was a half price books near Rice University in Rice Village, and it shut down. And I'm so hurt by it, but I would always just go through there and just take my time. Like I used to have my buddy, man, and I'm gonna shout him out, my boy Ed. And he's the only person in the world I would do this with. We went on book dates, man. Like we would just be like, yo, let's just go to the bookstore, and we'd be there for 2 hours and just kind of post up, get a couple books, figure out which ones we're gonna buy and whatever. And so we would go to those two in particular and just make our time. So I missed
That
that.
sounds so good.
Yeah.
That sounds so good. Okay, what's the last book that made you laugh?
Oh man, the last book that made me laugh. Oh, you know what? I've had to start reading books to my kids now, man. And so
Okay.
The Cat in the Hat.
It made you laugh.
It made me, I was like, bro,
Back
this dude
to
is
it.
ridiculous, man. Like he's just coming into your house doing
Yeah.
all this shit. It's like all these kids are like, man, what is going, it's just like, what gives you the right to come and invade our house and do all this stuff in here? It doesn't make any sense. And the thing about Dr. Seuss is like, I wish I had the mind to do the kind of writing that he does. Like as I'm reading Dr. Seuss books, like, one red fish, blue fish, one fish,
Sure.
two fish, that kind of, I'm just like, oh, I wish I had the mind to do that. It's just
Also, like
amazing
all
stuff.
the made up words and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you read Fox and Socks
Yes, Fox and
recently?
Socks. Oh my God. All
That one is like I experience extreme joy when I read that book
Yes.
to my kids because it's so hard. It's like such a tongue twister. It's like, no, sir, you, sir, Mr. Fox, sir, do, sir, wor,
yeah,
sir.
don't be
Mr.
dumb,
Fox,
sir. Yeah, he says like, don't be dumb, sir. I was like,
Yeah.
why are you talking to him like that? Damn.
He's like,
You know?
I can't do this jibber
Jabber,
jabber.
sir. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, man, so that's off. And there's another book that I read to my kids called Caps for Sale.
I don't know that one.
It's apparently it's an old school book, but it's about a peddler, a hat peddler, and he goes for a walk one day and he gets tired, sits down, and monkeys take all the caps off of his head.
Oh.
And so it's just I was just like, oh man, I just love the way I've kind of refallen in love with kids books. Like one of the
Yes.
good things about having kids, I was like, oh, this is like, it doesn't have to be a joke. Like these are books
No.
that are like really thoughtful, really smart, really creative. And it's just kind of, it just taps into something else in your mind that like, it's like, oh, I could use that as an adult. Like I'm happy for that. So yeah.
Some of them are really good. Some of them hit home. Sometimes I'll be reading them and I'll be like, whoa, okay, message. I see you.
Yeah. Where's
Like,
that come? Oh, I mean, green eggs and ham. I'm just like, there's a real message in there. And I try to remind my kid, I was like, you say you don't like this. You don't know. Try
you
it.
don't know.
You don't know.
Try it. Try it and you will see.
And you'll see.
Try it and you may see.
Mm-hmm.
That one's also written, it's not iambic pentameter, but it's like iambic octameter.
Oh, see. Okay.
It's like perfect iams. But I taught a Shakespeare class this year and I use that because it's like basically Shakespeare. It's like perfect analysis. Anyways,
Genius.
I love green eggs and ham.
Genius.
Okay, what about the last book that made you cry?
Warmth of Other Suns.
Ugh.
I got to the end and that might be, yeah. I mean, I bawled. I was just like, man, like the idea that these people went through that. And I think it was the woman in Chicago. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. It ends with her and like she's in her 90s and she's living in Chicago and she got a chance to go back to Mississippi briefly too. And my heart just went out to them. I was just like, man, those people, this country owes those people so much more than they ever got from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like at the end of it, and it also like it reflected my parents' story. Just
Mine too.
yeah, and I just it just really touched me, and so yeah, like I cried at the end of that book for sure.
I call that book a book of my life. It's like one of the most important books to me. that I've ever read.
Really? Okay.
My dad basically took the exact same journey as the doctor.
Oh man.
Who goes
Dr.
from like
Foster.
Louisiana through Texas, and then he goes up to the Bay and then comes back down to LA.
Yeah.
My dad went from Louisiana to LA. I mean to Oakland or the Bay Area, but it's like there's so many pieces of that life that like match. And it was around the same time.
Where's your father from in Louisiana?
Baton Rouge.
Okay. All right. My mom is from West Monroe. And so she's actually, I think the doctor is from Monroe.
I think so too.
Yeah. Right. And so like
too.
that, I'm locked in now, when that came in.
Yeah. You're like, oh, hello. Yeah. I was definitely like, wait a second.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it just makes sense. I was like, oh, I've got family in California, in Oakland, and LA. Yeah. That you barely, like, you don't know. Right. Right. At least for me. Right. And
right.
Yeah. So anyway, I was like, okay, it's all coming together. So yeah, to your point, I mean, I wish I could hug Isabel Wilkerson, man. That book was so emotional to me. So yeah.
That book is so good. Is there a book that you feel proud to have read?
You know what? So there is a book that I read called Ghetto, and it's about the history of the word and like sort of the etymology of it, and from ancient times to like how Jewish folk were cordoned off into these areas that they're called ghetto, and I just thought I wanted to write something about it, and I didn't quite know what, but like I just thought it was important. It was just something that was sort of way out of my. I guess the only reason I bought that book is because it said ghetto.
Sure.
And it just caught my eye, and I was like, "What is that about? What's that about?"
Yeah.
And so that's how I buy books often. I'm like, "What's that about?
What is this?
What is this? Yeah,
that sounds good.
Yeah,
I feel like you and I have very similar reading tastes.
Really,
as you're talking about, because I love nonfiction. I love
nonfiction.
Like books that do like deep dives into places or people, and it's like. It's about one thing, but it's really about the bigger context of the thing. So I just feel like I'm like taking a lot of notes.
Oh, well, you know what? Yeah, because you know what? I don't know if you're like this. Well, first of all, I wasn't a good student. Like I was just kind of a mediocre.
I was a good student.
Oh, okay. I was a bad student. I had a 2.7
You were a football player. You could have just done
that's not an excuse. There were people
I know, but that's why you didn't have to be a good student. You probably could have been a good student, but you didn't have to be because you were a football player.
You know what else?
In Texas.
I also had ADHD, and I didn't know that until like very recently. And I was like, oh, that's why I didn't study. Like I was like, no wonder that was so difficult. But because of that, because of like my my study habits or whatever, I feel like I need to catch up on everything. Like I want to learn everything. I want to know about everything that I can. And so like I people have told me, even Kesse has told me you should read fiction, like get, which it would open my mind up, and I know that it would, but I feel like I don't have time because I got to read all this other stuff that I don't know about. And so like that's how I'm sort of, my book choices are governed.
I read more fiction than I would like because of this podcast.
More.
If it were up to me, like before I started the show,
I
started tracking my reading when I got back into reading in 2016, and I was reading 80% nonfiction and 20% fiction. Now it's more like 65% nonfiction.
Okay.
But if it were up to me, I would read investigative journalism all day, every day for the rest of my life.
Really?
Just like a journalist doing their thing.
So you don't feel the fiction doing anything to yourself then, huh?
No, I mean, there are some amazing novels. Like I just read Frankenstein for the first time, and it is unfucking real. It is so good. And I was like, this book is amazing.
Okay.
But I don't know that. I mean, I'm glad I read that, and that probably would be part of the 20% of fiction that I would like to read. But a lot of fiction I don't like. It doesn't do for me what nonfiction does. It doesn't like make me feel, and a lot of people say the opposite. A lot of people think nonfiction is so boring and blah, blah, blah. So I get it. If I didn't have like a podcast to program for, my reading would probably look even more nonfiction, and I'd have more time. Like a book that I've been wanting to read for years that I own, that's right behind me on the bookshelf, is that Behind the Beautiful Forevers by Catherine Boo, which I know you love, right? She's like one of your favorite people. But like, I just have never gotten to it.
Yeah.
And like, that's a book that if I didn't do this show, I probably would be reading tonight, So I obviously love the show. Grateful. Thanks for listening. But if I were left to my own devices, I would read even more nonfiction and even more like of the same kind of nonfiction. The hard part is that, and maybe you can change this, there's not enough Black writers writing those kinds of books. There's not enough Black writers writing Friday Night Lights style deep embed books, Like when Crack Was King, I don't know if you got to read that, but that was amazing and was sort of like one of the closest books to do that in a long time. A lot of Black writers' books end up being like memoir, which I like memoir fine, but I'm just like, what about all these amazing Black journalists who could be doing John Krakauer or Patrick Raddenkeefe or whatever, like my faves?
Well, because that's really the opportunities that are given to us as a writer, right? Like, I know that, like, they want you to they want you to emote about racism,
right?
For the audiences. And I'm just kind of like, all right, not that I'm beyond that at all. I can do that, but I want to do that on my own time. Like, also, like, part of this is I'm mission minded about my work, man, you know?
Yeah.
And there's things that I think need our perspective, need us to, I need our side of, to tell that tale. And so, yeah, so to your point, like, that's exactly like where I go about doing what I do. And I hope I can do that with a book someday. We'll see.
I hope so too. I'll read it. I promise.
I'm going to talk to you about the other one. We'll see.
Yeah, I can't wait. Let me just ask you like two more.
Yeah, of course.
One is if you were a high school teacher, what is a book that you would assign to your students?
I mean, they would never allow me to do it now because of the climate of this country. Roots.
Oh,
I read Roots when I was in high school, man. And that was one of the more formative books I've ever read in my life.
I've never read Roots. I saw the movie,
of course,
multiple times.
Yeah. They used to run it all the time when we were younger. Like, it was on TV a lot. My
dad was like, "You're gonna watch this."
Yeah. Yeah, no, the book is fascinating. Like, I mean, if I know that people have like kind of like, you know, there's sort of the history of Alex Haley and some of the stuff behind the book. Like, you know, there's some questions around it, right?
Okay.
But if you read the book in and of itself, like, it is just a fantastic storytelling, the characters in the book. I mean, I think it does a really good job of like laying bare not only the horror of slavery, but like the humanity of the enslaved.
Mm-hmm,
right. Mm-hmm. Like, you get to see them as something other than like figures getting beaten to death or whatever.
Right.
And so maybe that, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe Black Boy. I mean, Black Boy is just sure. King for me, man. Like that. Yeah. That book changed my life, I say.
I love that. You'll appreciate this. When I was pregnant with my twins, I was at a book event and I got to meet LeVar Burton, and everybody there was like, "Oh my God, Reading Rainbow." And I was not a Reading Rainbow kid, but he came up to me and he was like, "Oh, are you pregnant?" And I was like, "Yeah." I mean, I was huge. My kids came like 3 days later. Like, it was literally December 9th and my kids were born December 22nd. Like, it was right there. I was like, "Yeah, I'm pregnant with twins." And he was like, May I bless you?" And he like put his hand on my stomach and then said things. I don't even remember what he said, but I immediately called my brother and I go, "Kunta Kinte, bless the twins." Everyone else like Reading Rainbow. I'm like, Kunta Kinte. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's a beautiful thing. I mean, some people, my mama probably would come to him as the Star Trek guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's her joint with him.
A lot of people know him as Star Trek. He's Kunta to me.
Yeah,
so.
I can get that. I'm probably in between, you know. Yeah. But I watched Reading Rainbow a lot. I mean, that was my joint, you know.
I never watched. I watched it like as an adult to know what people were talking about.
Really? Well, you are. I mean, again, you're just young enough.
But I feel like people younger than me talk about it, but I can't tell if that's just the internet and people being like, "Oh my God, Reading Rainbow." I'm like, really?
I think because I don't know. Maybe it was on then. I guess I know it was on for a long time.
I was a PBS kid. Like, I watched Sesame Street. I just
Electric
don't remember.
Company? Yeah.
So I was too young for Electric Company.
Damn.
Because I think Electric Company wasn't that like early 80s, late 70s.
Yeah. I mean, and actually, I'm pretty sure I caught the tail end of Electric Company.
Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, last question for you.
Okay.
Everybody has to answer it. So,
oh man, this ain't fair.
Sorry.
But okay.
If you could require the current president of the United States to read one book, what would it be?
The Quran.
Okay. We love it. We love it. I actually don't think anyone's ever suggested that to him on the show. I could be wrong, but I like it.
He should try to read it. Maybe it would help him. I don't know.
I love that.
They'll give him a little spirit. Yeah.
Well, everybody, this has been Joel Anderson. Joel will be back on Wednesday, December 31st to discuss Friday Night Lights by Buzz Bissinger. Even though it's not Buzz, it's H.G. Bissinger. He decided later in life to go back to his like nickname.
He's a character, man. Got
it.
He's a character.
I got to look him up.
Yep.
But we'll be discussing that the last day of the year, December 31st. So make sure you read with us. And Joel, this was amazing. Thank you so much. This was such a delight.
Oh, well, thanks for making me feel smart for our afternoon. I appreciate it. I was a pleasure. Thanks for having me on. So. It was an honor.
All right, y'all, that does it for us today. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you again to Joel Anderson for joining the show. Our book club pick for December is Friday Night Lights, A Town, a Team, and a Dream by H.G. Bissinger, which we will discuss with Joel Anderson on Wednesday, December 31st. If you love The Stacks, if you want inside access to it, head to patreon.com/thestacks to join the Stacks Pack and check out my newsletter at tracythomas.substack.com. Make sure you're subscribed to The Stacks wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you're listening through Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave us a rating and a review. For more from The Stacks, follow us on social media. We are at The Stacks Pod on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and now YouTube. And you can check out our website at thestackspodcast.com. This episode of The Stacks was edited by Christian Duenas with production assistance from Sahara Clement. Our graphic designer is Robin McCrite, and our theme music is from Tigirigis. The Stacks is created and produced by me, Tracy Thomas.